Good morning. We are live and it is Friday back in Dallas, Texas again, although flying out today because I have a job in Houston this weekend. So I'm really glad to spend this time here at home. It has been an amazing 24 last hours. And actually it prompted what our talk is all about today. So we'll talk about that here. But first, I want to make sure that because we are going into the weekend, that you have some idea of what kind of self-care you want to be doing this weekend, because self-care Saturday, self-care Sunday is where we want to put our attention into. In the weeks we get so busy, but it is so important that we take that time for ourselves and that we are treating ourselves right and just putting ourselves first. We put everyone else first all week. Make sure that you are carving out 30 minutes of time, 40 minutes of time, whatever that may be. Even if you just get 5 minutes of time. I know you may have a busy life and you have kids or you have whatever it is going on, but make sure that you take that time and carve it out. So if you don't stick with me till the end, I just wanted to make sure that I get that in because self-care is so incredibly important. I am Jen Sugarmeyer, and this is Mindset in the Morning, and we are here 5 days a week at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, but it's YouTube, so you can watch it whenever. But we are becoming intentional about our lives and how we want them to look and how we want to feel and how we want to show up. And we here on Mindset in the Morning, we talk about just that and mindset in the morning. Well, I talk about it in the morning. You could talk about it whenever. But the reason we do this in the morning is because it is so foundational for the entire day. Just like they tell you to eat that meal in the beginning of the day, the one that's gonna, breakfast is the most important meal. It sets you for the rest of the day, or working out in the morning and that gets your body right, or meditating in the morning. Well, mind, body, soul is the Holy Trinity. And so here we talk about the mind and some of the things that we deal with. Today, we're going to be talking about regaining your confidence. And this was prompted because of last night. And yesterday on the show, we talked about, what did we talk about on the show? we talked about, getting uncomfortable. That's what we talked about yesterday. And sometimes we put ourselves out there and it is an uncomfortable situation. And we talked about yesterday, that that's growth. And that when you are feeling that discomfort, when your brain is saying, turn back the other way, I want to get the heck out of here, that we acknowledge that it's growth. We need to embrace that instead of running from it. There are things that we can do because sometimes that will also take our confidence as well. I walked into this situation on the boat. If you listened to it yesterday, I was invited to be on this yacht, and so I was invited to be on this yacht. And I went there, and I have no issues being around people whatsoever. And yet, for whatever reason, I had imposter syndrome big time when I was on this boat. And yes, I still had a good time. Yes, I was still talking to people, but I definitely put people on levels, and I wasn't, I was down here. These were a lot of very wealthy people that, have a big following on social media, things like that. And for whatever reason, even though I don't normally, I don't care. I don't care who you are. Maybe it was because there were so many of them and only one of me, and I just felt a little outnumbered. Maybe I didn't feel as successful. Maybe I don't know what it was. I don't know. I'm still kind of working through that. And I've got a few ideas for next time, but I acknowledge for me that that's growth. And as I'm going, as I was on this boat, I acknowledged that it was going on. And that's the beautiful thing. When we start to understand the mind and the things that we're going through, then it still felt awkward, but I knew what I was going through. I knew I was stretching and growing myself to a new level. So I can, see as it's happening in real time and say, okay, brain, this is what's going on. And it's okay that you feel this way. Now, how do we regain our confidence as we've gone through this situation? We've come out the other end. We've told our brain that, hey, it's okay. You made it through the end of the night. You made it through the event. You made it through whatever it was that you were going through. And now you're reflecting and you go, okay, what was going on there? And how do you regain your confidence? Because the truth is that you can walk out of these situations sometimes. And I'm just talking about the boat thing because it was relevant this week and I think it's very relatable. But whatever it is for you, that comes to mind? A situation recently that you went through and it just sort of took the wind out of your sail, or it diminished your confidence, and how do you start to regain that? So that's what we're going to talk about here. So we're going to talk about 4 simple things that you can do to get some of that confidence back, because even if you do acknowledge that it's growth and yeah, I just need to get out there and do it again and whatever, it can still, it's still, we're humans, we have hearts, we feel it. Doesn't feel great, and yeah, we want to get back out there, but how do we restore some of that confidence and that faith in ourselves when we went to go do something and maybe it didn't turn out the way we thought it would, or we thought we were going to show up powerfully or we didn't, and we thought we were going to do a good job and it kind of didn't go out the way that we thought it was going to, or I mean, maybe it's music that you were playing and you're playing with a band and you forgot your music, or maybe you forgot your words when you were giving a speech, or maybe whatever that may be. There are these times that we in our minds think it's going to go one way and it doesn't quite go that way. So how do we restore that? So first and foremost, you got to practice. Practice is the only way. Just like you doing whatever it was that you were doing to get there in the first place, you got to keep doing more of that. And we're not going to be perfect on the first time. Maybe that's when you felt, for me on the boat, that was the first time I've ever been on a yacht with 150 influencers. That was the first in my life. And I didn't prep for it. I didn't prepare for it. I didn't even know I was going to be on the boat. And so next time, it should be a little bit easier because I've done it one time. It's like, oh yeah, I've been here, I've done this. My brain's a little more comfortable with the surroundings, whatever. So I don't know what that might be for you. Maybe it's the second time you give that speech. Maybe it's the second time you play that song or sing that song, or, walk up to somebody and ask them if they, hey, you want to go out? Hey, can I get your number? First time it seems really scary. Second time it's like, it's still, these are all can be scary if we think they're scary. I mean, it's whatever mindset you want to put it to, but it starts to become second nature the more and more you practice it. It just does, because the brain is mapping itself. See, right now, it doesn't have a path that it's navigating. It's like, these are new territories. Where do we go? Where do we go? It's like when you use your GPS. Think about when you went to a new place. Maybe you moved to where you're at currently and you didn't know the area that well. So you used your GPS. You used it to get to the grocery store. You used it to, go to the mall. You used it to get to work, whatever. But you used it to get around your area because you didn't know. And maybe you did it for the first, 3 weeks because you were trying out different routes, whatever it was. And then finally you said, you know what? I know where I'm going. I feel comfortable. So I actually don't need this GPS anymore. I can turn it off because now I know. That's exactly what's happening in the brain. And it's called neuroplasticity. And when you're mapping out the brain, and once it has that path down in its brain, once it understands the GPS, your brain is a GPS. Once it knows the coordinates, then it doesn't need to use the GPS because it's programmed. That's what we start to do. So the first time we're doing something, it's the same as us using that GPS, trying to figure out how to get to the grocery store. Well, I don't know where the grocery store is. So can you help me? Can you tell me? And maybe you take a different way the next time or whatever, but you use the GPS the first, few times until your brain understands and it becomes habit. How many times have we driven and we don't even know that, we think, oh gosh, I don't even remember driving in, because it becomes habitual. It's just a habit. We just go on autopilot. We don't even think about it. But the first time, it wasn't that way. So our brain, and it takes 21 days to form a habit. So it takes time for us to do these over and over and over. It's going to feel clunky the first few times you do something. It just is, because your brain doesn't have that GPS mapped out, but it will at some point. But you have to keep doing it. So as cliche as it sounds, you have to practice. You just do. And second thing, practice in small chunks. So they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I mean, if you think about an elephant is massive. And I don't know that anybody even eats elephant. Anyway, we won't go there, but I don't know that anybody eats elephants. But the point is, an elephant is this massive, massive human being. When you, or animal, when you look at it and you're like, how would I eat that? One bite at a time, or whatever it is. How would I climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or, any of these massive, massive mountains? How would you get there? Mount Everest. It's like 30,000 feet in the air. How do you climb Mount Everest? One step at a time, one step at a time. And sometimes, especially for us high achievers, we want to just be there. We want to be good. We want to be the best. And so we just go all the way. We go all in. Was there maybe a middle ground for me that I could have, started at this week instead of being on a boat with 150 influencers? Was there something kind of midway that I could have done to kind of ease into that? Maybe. And I wouldn't have said no, like, no, I'm not prepared. That wouldn't have changed. That wouldn't have changed my mind at all. But just to give you an example, instead of, oh, I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition and yet I've never worked out, is there something midway that you could say, okay, I strive for this goal and I'm going to start here. And then I'm going to go to this goal. And then I'm going to go to this goal and this goal. Even if your end goal is here, like, let's not go from here thinking that we can be here next week. How do we start to baby step this until we get to where we want to be? Because if you leap from here to here, again, your brain doesn't know what's going on. It's remapping, and that's massive. And what happens when we take a step that is too big? It's too much. We can come crashing down because we say, wow, that didn't feel good. I don't know how to do this. I don't feel capable. I'm out of my league. And all of a sudden, self-doubt starts to creep in. And we don't know, we don't feel comfortable with this. And so what do we want to do? Our brains do what it knows how to do, which is turn back. It wants to turn back and run. Hey, I don't know what's going on over here, and I don't know what you just tried, but we definitely didn't do that, but it's safe back here. So just go back to what you know. Just go back to not working out. Go back to not driving. Go back to not speaking on stages. Go back to not talking to people. Go back to whatever it is for you. And it doesn't mean that what you had before was the best situation for you. It doesn't mean that at all. In fact, it could be a horrible situation. It could be a mentally abusive, physically abusive. It could just be, an addictive lifestyle. It could be just a disaster. You ever seen those people and they keep going back to those relationships and you're like, that's so toxic. Why do you keep doing that? And you don't have an answer, but you keep seeing these people, and they just keep getting back together, and they say, oh no, we're breaking up. This is not working out for us. And yet then they're back together, and they break up, and then they're back together, and it just keeps happening. What's going on there? Well, it's what they know. Doesn't mean that that's what's the best for them. It's just what they know. And they try to go out and do something different or be on their own or find another relationship, and that doesn't work out. So, well, I knew with you it was comfortable, so I'll just go back there. And then they break up again, and it's just a cycle. And I've seen this so many times with people. So it doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you had before was the best for you, but your brain doesn't know. Your brain's just like, I just know that felt comfortable. It was familiar. We like familiarity. It's like coming home after you've been traveling and you go, oh, okay, I get it. Like, this is my stuff. This is my home. I know where all my things are. I don't have to guess where things are. I don't need to use a map. I get to sleep in my own bed. I know where my toothbrush is at. I know, I don't have my stuff scattered all over. You're like, ooh, this is nice. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I know. Again, even if it's not the best situation for you. So really keep that in mind. Third thing. So how do we boost our confidence? Talk to your mentor or talk to someone that you trust. And the reason you want to find somebody that you trust or a mentor is because they're going to be able to give you sound advice. What you don't want is somebody to falsely inflate your ego. Let me say that again. What you don't want is someone to falsely inflate your ego. What I see very often is that we surround ourselves with people that are just like us. And then when we want to go get advice, it's like the blind leading the blind. There's these two women here in Dallas, and they cannot see through the forest, neither one of them. And yet these two women have come together and they have become best friends. And it is, I personally can't talk with either one of them either anymore because they're so lost and blind, and they aren't seeing the big picture in life. Very small-minded gossip girls. It's too much. But there's two of them and they have the same view. So they don't question anything that the other person says. They take everything at face value. So when she is asking her for advice, it's not sound advice, but she's not questioning it, and vice versa. That's not the person that you want to get advice from. And the reason why is because they see the same thing that you see. You want someone that's able to, that has been there and has elevated to another level, or someone that you trust, that you know has a very sound mindset. So be very careful with who you are asking, for help from or advice. Talk to your mentor because they will help you. They'll help you, give you another perspective, or tell you, hey, here are some next steps that you can try, or, maybe even stroke your ego a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. Look, you did a great job. Look, here are some things that really went well, or whatever. And they can help you walk through the situation, but get it from somebody that you trust. Okay. And this is somebody, really think about this. I need you to think outside the box, not just your best friend who says yes to everything, but someone that you've been able to go to that can give sound advice. So a mentor or someone that you trust, and really think about this person. This isn't just your best friend, or maybe it is, maybe they're both. And lastly, something to boost your confidence, do something that you're good at. Okay. There is something that you are good at. Go do that. And when you do it, it will restore faith in you as a human being, that you can do things. So last night, for example, we had an event outside. I live across the street from a music pavilion, and a friend of mine played out there, and we had a lot of people. I used to work with this individual, the musician, and we had a lot of people that came from all over that we used to work with. And so it was like a big reunion, and a lot of us haven't seen each other in a year and a half. So here I was, surrounded by a ton of people that I know. And I walked out of last night just feeling so refreshed and revived, because I did something that I was good at. And it's funny because here I was with a group of people, and I was talking with everybody. I was, even someone said, wow, Jen, it was like you were the host, whereas I was basically in the same situation earlier this week, but it was with all strangers that I felt like I was an imposter. I put them on a pedestal. But all of these people, even though some of them were CFO, CIO, VPs, whatever, these also were, very important people, but I knew them and I felt comfortable with them. And I went around and I got to talk to everybody, and it was an amazing night. So find something that you are good at. Don't stay there. Continue to challenge yourself and grow yourself, but do something that you're good at to restore your faith in yourself. I can talk to people, and for some of us coming out of COVID, there are things that we're a little rusty at. So it just takes that practice. So practice, take small steps, talk to your mentor, do something you're good at. That's the way that you're going to restore confidence in yourself. So with that, if you haven't hit that like, if you haven't hit that subscribe, if you will do that, I would absolutely appreciate it, because that's how we blow up this algorithm, so that we really make this into a movement, not just one nice thing that you heard, but a movement of becoming intentional with our lives and with how we want to show up in this world. So I would encourage you, as you are looking at your life, what is it that you need to regain confidence in yourself? And go out today and just take those baby steps. Think about, who is that mentor that I would want to talk to, that I trust, that I would go to. Think about what you can do that you're already good at that could just help boost your confidence a little bit. Don't stay there, but maybe it'll just help restore you a little bit. So with that, remember, self-care Saturday, self-care Sunday, find at least 5 minutes, 30 if you can, an hour would be great, and just spend it on you. It's not selfish, it's necessary, because when you have a full cup, then you can help others. All right. I will see you back here, same time, same place on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend. I love you. Ciao.